Hi guys, what's up? Tim Queen here, and today we're going to do a LinkedIn page review, and we're going to start our series by looking at Red Bull. Let's have a look at the company page, all the different sections, the design, the lead generation possibilities, what features they're using off LinkedIn, and especially what kind of content are they creating, and is the content really efficient? Could they do some improvement? What would I do if I was in charge of Red Bull's content strategy to get more engagement, getting overall more results for the business? So overall, we have the Red Bull logo, which looks nice. We have one of the brand's typical outdoor sport, extreme sports, as a cover image, which looks awesome. So let's see what we have on the home page. We have recently added videos, 50 recently pasted jobs, community hashtags. They have Red Bull gives you wings and Red Bull. So that's great. They're monitoring those hashtags so we can have a look what kind of user-generated content might be generated on this specific hashtag when the page is loading. Let's have a look over here what we can see. So the problem is the hashtag is not that popular. We have just 521 followers. Red Bull definitely should do something about this to get this number up by encouraging people to follow this hashtag and or to use it in user-generated content. You just don't want to use it all by yourself. You actually want to get the best results by having other people creating content, having your team members, having your employees using that hashtag to generate more content for your page. So let's go back at the content page and look at some of the posts. What do we have here? Go behind the scenes with the ethical clothing company ABLE. This fashion brand is helping women in poverty help themselves. Red Bull, 4-minute read and 17 likes. No comment, no nothing. And that's quite typical what you can expect, because what we have here, if you can see this is an external link. If I click on this, it will go to redbull.com. As important as it is to share external content, you have to be smart about this when you're doing that on your own company page. If you're using an external URL, you will notice that the number of engagement will be crushed in comparison. Compare this with one of my content pieces, which I'm going to open up on my page over here. This one had over 14,000 views, 4 reshares, 118 reactions, and 244 comments. Now that's a completely different form of engagement, and I'm actually sharing an external link, but I'm doing it smartly. I share it indirectly by embedding it in my post. But the actual content type is an image, and you have a lot of different native content types that you can use. For example, if I wanted to promote this, I would have written some more text. This one is just going like one line. It's very typical corporate. They don't often think about this, but you have to see that you have up to 1,300 characters that you can use for your description. So if you're just using one line of text, LinkedIn algorithm will count the number of words you're using and its originality. So you can't just copy and paste like a long message in multiple different posts. It has to be original and it has to be multiple words. You can fit up to 220 words at about. The hard limit is 1,300 characters into a post. Now, instead of pasting the link inside, you would just take this picture, insert this to your post, and you would write a longer extended version summary of what to expect of that. Then you would write a longer extended summary of the article itself over here, and you would use this URL and you would embed this inside the text. Now what this does is, now technically it switches from a link or external link post to a picture post, which has a much broader reach. So just more people will see it, and as a consequence you will get more clicks to your website. So this number, in comparison with a page which has 642,752 followers, that's just laughable. I only have barely 30,000 followers and I get a ton more engagement. So Red Bull definitely can improve upon this by just using the right content types and by extending the length of their company post description. Let's have a look over here. What is this one? This one is definitely better. It uses one of the native content types. It's the native LinkedIn video. We're going to see what's going on here. There seems to be some celebration going on, which is always a great topic for any LinkedIn company page, because just people love to celebrate things, to join into the fun, and to celebrate each other. In this case, we have Red Bull has started a competition. We have the winners. It has tagged the companies, which is great. Whenever you have the possibility to tag specific related companies, always do so. You can just go into your text, start the add key, and then slowly typing in the company name. And then whenever the company name shows up, select it from your list, and this will turn it into a clickable link. The benefit of this is that more people will be able to click on it. You might get a ton of engagement from, for example, this Advice and Entity Limited. Some of the employees might engage, which will bring your post up to speed, and you get more engagement as a consequence. Now what we see here, they have included the URL redbullbasement.com. If they had added the HTTPS at the beginning, it would also become a clickable link. There is like a limit of how many characters a URL can have, and when it has more, LinkedIn will turn it into one of its own URL shortener. So if your branding is important, you can skip and leave the HTTPS out. If you want to make it clickable, just make sure that you have it included so the link can be clicked. Now we have 451 likes and engagement forms. We have 5 comments. Let's have a look at the comments. What do we have here? We have inspiring feed. This is where you belong. Great collaboration, Red Bull. Impressive. And someone is tagging someone, I don't know in what capacity. So in this case, the quality of the comments is not that high, but it's not their fault. They're just trying to be nice and writing something useful. If Red Bull wants to have better quality, longer comments, which would also help them really trigger the algorithm to get more views, they should have a call to action section inside here. And this should specifically ask a question to your audience of 642,000, asking them to reply to this post or to answer a question in the comment section. You will notice you get a ton more comments. And then the quality is much better. And then obviously what's really important, what Red Bull isn't doing here, acknowledging the person who is leaving the comment. I don't see Red Bull replying to any of those people. I mean, obviously it's also like difficult to reply if someone says inspiring feed and you're like, okay, thank you. Impressive. Thank you. Great collaboration, Red Bull. Thank you. This was someone like in the collaboration you could extend, but it's really difficult if people just giving like 1 or 2 word comments. So if you're asking an open-ended question, it's much easier for the company to reply. And you have to see your company comments also count. So the more comments you get, the more people will see your post in their newsfeed. What do we have here? Running an interview, the finish line might be here, jobs.redbull. Again, they don't put in the HTTPS to preserve the brand name, but I would really recommend to make it clickable. If you really want to get more people to apply for your job, it's definitely helping you if you have it clickable. You might say, Tim, but you can just copy and paste this into the URL bar. And you are right, but again, I have done this before. I tried it in different ways. I even had like some variations where I put like some space between the dot to really make sure that it wouldn't be counted as a URL. And what happens, you will only get like 10 to 20% of the people will actually copy and paste something versus 80% in comparison who would click on a link. So you lose people because people are really, really lazy. Now what do we have here? Again, this is one of those external posts. And judging by the URL, which I see at the bottom, win.gs, I'm sure Red Bull is actually using an external scheduling tool to have those trackable links. So if someone is clicking on this link, they can do link tracking, and then it will ultimately redirect to the jobs.redbull.com section. Again, we're getting a little bit more engagement. Just one comment. What do we have here? Who knew? Red Bull has a non-beverage group. Googling yields no results. Be interested to see what they launched. That's a good comment, right? Like, and again, is someone replying to it 5 days ago, and not one employee has replied to this gentleman over here, which would really help. If you have to see it like this. If you're running a company page, you want to get people engaged. So kind of have to train them up, quote unquote. So how do you do that? You rewarding them by replying to their comments. Like if someone is writing a message and they don't getting an answer, they're not going to do it again. It's just simple learning. I write a message, nobody replies, they must not care about me. Why would I do a second message? So if you actually want to use your audience, work with your audience to create a win-win situation where both of you are benefiting from this relationship, you have to actually spend the time to reply to every single comment. This is really important. Now what do we have here? We have 4 comments. Again, external link. Thanks for sharing. This is great. Really difficult to reply to those. You can only really say thank you. But again, what did we learn so far? There is no call to action. What is wrong? It's an external link page. And it's too short. Like one line of text is not going to get you anywhere. And also, in general, I have to say, Red Bull is not really into copywriting. Like 1 or 2 sentences is way definitely too low. You could promote the heck out of this article. And we're going to do that in just a minute. We're going to pick one of the articles and I'm going to write a post on the spot to see how we could promote this in a different way. But let's see what we can do. A startup for taxi, drones, takes flight. Interested in the backstory? Red Bull, you really have to hire a better copywriter. Like what is this? A startup for taxi, drones, takes flight. Interested in the backstory. You could tease this. Let's actually have a look at this article. Let's see what it's all about. Ideas for a better future. Lilium Jet, a startup for taxi, drones, takes flight. A jet zooming across the city sky to your destination. The future is now, according to German startup Lilium. The new taxi drones will change the way we think about urban transportation. Social innovation. So I think that's a really interesting topic. If we think about having taxis, what would that change? And why would someone want to have this in comparison to a road-based vehicle? There must be some reason why people want to have this, and you can use that understanding of human psychology to create interesting content. So what I would do as an example, I would think about like what are most common issues with today's taxi. Like here are the most common reasons people complain about taxis. It's very simple. You can Google it. You can go. There are so many different websites. You can go on YouTube, find some videos about like people complaining about taxis, and then you can find some data. So what you can do is you can look for common complaints about taxis. You could also say something like this: why taxis? Or you could say something like, why I am never going to take another cab. Like you get the idea. Just look at different angles how you can look. Taxi horror stories. Now, of course, now when we look at this, we might just get some impression that nobody ever want to take a taxi again. But let's see if we can find something like lighthearted. We don't want to go into some like hardcore topic that some people would be involved in some crime with the cab driver. So horror stories maybe not. Let's see what we have here. 15 reasons why everyone hates taxi cabs. That's perfect. Exactly what we are looking for. Because we're going to use that as an inspiration for how we can then structure our promotion of the article by leading with one of the most common reasons why everyone hates taxi cabs. Cab drivers who lie about the fare. So if you have an app, let's say this is a self-flying cab, and you just put in like your destination, the application will find the shortest possible route. There is no issue that the computer would screw you over, unless someone was messing with the algorithm, which I don't think so. So that could be something, but the emotional intensity with like the cab driver who lies about the fare, I don't really see that this would be like a good headline. See what else we have, because sometimes they don't show up when you call them. That's actually a good one, because depending like on where you are based, like in a big city, you might call them over the phone. It might take forever. If you're not getting a modern app like Uber, you don't really see where the cab is going. And this might sometimes lead to the impression that the cab might not get there, or sometimes there is like a lot of people and someone just jumps into your cab and you're gone. Sometimes if you're new in town, they'll take the long way home. Yeah, definitely an issue that people want to get more mileage onto their meter. Again, that would be solved with the self-flying cab that is optimizing the route based on algorithm and not on the profit desires of the driver. I think one of the best angles you could probably go is that you might get stuck in traffic. And then even though you're just like a few miles away, it might take you an hour of time to get to your destination. So while the cab can get stuck in traffic, a flying cab can just fly over whatever congestion there is and get you there in no time. So let's see if we can write this down. Okay, so 4 to 6 p.m., the typical time when everyone's getting off work. So we're going to use that and we're going to lead with rush hour. Are you sick and tired of getting stuck during rush hour and having to pay twice for your cab fare? Just as an idea, it's not perfect yet, but we just use that as a working title. So are you sick and tired of getting stuck during rush hour and then having to pay twice for your cab fare? And then, so this is a question we want to raise. And the reason why we are asking this question is we want everyone to remember a situation where they felt this way. So we try to pick something like a common experience that many people have, and then we are mentioning the common experience to make everyone imagine this, remember it, and then feel this. So what's happening the moment they're reading this line, they're getting like, oh yeah, I remember, this is like the biggest, worst nightmare in my life. Just like last week, I got stuck in traffic for 2 hours, and then the cab driver was like chatting all the time, and there was a stupid smell of some food in the cab, and it was like hot because the air conditioning wasn't working. So what you can then do is you do the transition. So I'm going to call this a transition sentence to what we then want to say. So the resolution is to take an air cab. So now would be a good time to have a look at our article again. Now, obviously, if I was working at Red Bull, I would put in a lot more work of researching the company in detail to really find out like what's going on there. So we're just gonna do like a surface level innovations. We need some stats or some facts. Lilium Jet was designed with regional mobility in mind. It balances competing requirements for range, speed, and payload while delivering a low noise footprint and the same safety standards as today's commercial aircraft. The four wings contribute significantly to the overall efficiency, providing lift to support the weight of the aircraft during horizontal flight, while the ducted design of the 36 electric motors provides a significant efficiency advantage over open rotors by blocking the formation of tip vortex. Very technical. It's not really a good thing to be too technical. You want to actually focus on, like, they're probably not live yet, but if you are customer facing, you really want to highlight the benefits for the customer, not impressing some engineers reading a website. It's maybe good if you're just currently looking for more investors to focus on the technology, but you would really want to focus on the experience for the customers. Now, what can we see is like in development since 2016, serial aircraft development, launch and scale. So yeah, we're definitely looking at like a few more years to have launch and scale up. Are you sick and tired of getting stuck during rush hour and then having to pay twice for your cab fare? So you could even structure this like this. So what we're doing is the double stack. We're saying, are you sick and tired of getting stuck during rush hour? And then it's kind of like emotionally, I'm going to put this over here. It's like -1. People are like, oh yeah, I remember that. And then then you're stacking it, like we're going down one level further, and it's like, and then on top of that, you have to pay twice for your cab fare. And then it's like another -1, so you get -2 in total. You could play this all day long if you want. You can say, and then having to pay twice for your cab fare while listening to an endless monologue by your driver. The idea is kind of like you're taking them in one direction. In this case, we're taking them down negatively. So the idea why we want to do this is we want to feel emotion when they're engaging with the content piece. And then we want to basically lift them up. So if you just tell them, hey, here's a cool helicopter cab, they're like, oh yeah, cool, bro. Like, yeah, I don't really care. But if you make them feel, you make them feel negative about the current situation, then the resolution is that much sweeter when you tell them. Now you could say something like the transition sentence could be something like, well, fear no more. There is a solution on the horizon. Now what you could do, if you want to make this more intense, you could tease them and say them, you are going to love this. So as a recap, we have 3 lines which are taking you down one level, one level, one level. So you're -3 now. Then we're telling them, hey, fear no more, there is a solution on the horizon. So we're not telling them what it is, but we're telling them there is a solution. So we're creating anticipation. Then we are pre-framing this, and this is a psychological trick. We are trying to frame it how they will perceive the next bit of information. So we are already drawing the frame. We say, you are going to love this. So the next information, they will assume that they're going to love this. So if they're already thinking, they said, I'm going to love it, so there must be a reason why I'm going to love it. So they're going to start looking for the reasons, and their brain is going to find information and is focusing on details that makes them love it to confirm what you said. Obviously, that has to do a lot with trust. Like if you have a track record of like promising some stuff and you're like telling them some stupid bullshit, then they're not going to believe you. But generally speaking, people are trusting and open. So this is a great way if you find some new readers and then you just deliver on that. You just highlight some really cool thing. And then you can say, and I'm going to make up some information because I just don't have the time to research it closer. But we're going to say, let's assume Red Bull has some venture capital fund. Red Bulls. Actually, what's the relationship between Lilium Jet and Red Bull? Then we might think, how are you gonna finish work when you have to like Google everything? But like the idea really is you want to get this accurate. So if you work in a company, obviously you have a lot of this information just at your fingertips and you don't have to do that much Google research as me. But let's see, Red Bull Innovator TV Series 1. Okay. That's the framing. Let's see. So it is one of those documentary series that Red Bull is doing. Latest Innovator TV episode. Actually, we're going to use that, but we're going to use it later. This is going to be our call to action. We want people to watch this, so we're going to put this at the bottom. You're going to love this. And then we're just going to use the name of the company, Lilium Jet. Developed, and again, I'm now making this up because I don't have the facts. Like you would use whatever framing would work. Has developed the first commercial air taxi. And then you're going to stack either in a positive way or in a negative way. Like negative. So you could say, no more drunken drivers, no more this, no more that. Or you can say like, or you could say, take a 10-mile ride in just 5 minutes. Rush hour? Traffic jam? No problem. We are just going to fly around it. let me walk you through the entire post today. So we're going to do some negative stacking, -1, -2, -3. Then we're doing the anticipation where you tell like, fear no more, there is a solution on the horizon. You are going to love this. And then we are telling them basically, okay, this is what you're going to love. Lilium Jet, you're going to love Lilium Jet. You're going to love the first commercial air taxi. It's going to be an amazing experience. And then you just like pick something that you can talk about in more detail. And you have to think about this. We are just kind of reaching the amount of space that you should put into a post to not make it too long. Otherwise, you might run into the character limit. So in this case, I just focus again on something like that we tease in the first line of text. So we just focus on getting stuck, doing rush hour, and then this is consequential. If we didn't get stuck in rush hour, we wouldn't have to pay twice for standing in the cab, and we wouldn't have to listen to the monologue. At least it wouldn't be endless because it would just take 5 minutes. In this case, I just highlight take a 10-mile ride in just 5 minutes. This is just like some random made-up numbers. So if you have more information about this, you feel free to use the correct ones. But this is kind of like the structure, how you would do it. If you do this like in 5 minutes, 7 minutes or whatever, it's about the point there is a benefit to it. Rush hour, traffic jam, could even like make it. Now you have done like negative, anticipation, positive, positive. And now we are reminding them about the negative again. And then we are switching up positive. So if I was drawing this, follow the mouse over here. We're taking them down, further down, then we're lifting them up. And the difference is by going up and then down, this is what people perceive as emotionally intense. If we're just moving like flat, it doesn't matter. If it's just like here at the top, the happy, 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 and then like people getting numb to the happiness and they don't feel anything anymore. Same down here. If you have like pain, 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 and at some point just people getting numb and it doesn't have any effect anymore. But what people really respond to is like the difference in changing the peak, like going from positive to negative, going upwards. This creates a roller coaster sensation, and this is very important if you really want to get your audience engaged. So we're saying like negative, 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 then positive, then we're doing negative again, then we're getting positive, like rush hour, traffic jam, negative again, and then we're putting them up, no problem. We're just going to fly around it. You could say, meet the incredible team in Red Bull's latest Innovator TV episode here. And then you could just take this. Let's actually see where we have the link. There you go. And that's definitely too long. LinkedIn would shorten that with the URL shorten, but it's like, it's not a big deal. Now, here comes the most important part. You want to have a call to action because you want to get people engaged with your post. So here's your call to action. And there's different ways how you can do this. You can ask people to like or to do a vote. For example, you could say, hey, press the heart button if you think this, or press the thumbs up button if you think that. You could do some kind of like voting in the comment section. But I like to do comments. Here's different ways how you can do this. And we're going to play, I'm going to give you a couple of ideas and then we're going to decide on one later. So you could, for example, say, where would you take the Lilium Jet? Which one would you take? Cab or Lilium Jet? Now you could expand this and why. So this is a really good question. Which one would you take and why? Or if you want to make it like complicated in structure, you could say Cab or Lilium Jet and why. So what you're basically doing here is you're getting people to watch the content and then telling you if they prefer a cab or a flying cab seat. Or you could say, would you dare to take a trip in the Lilium jet. Now this is also like a good one, where you, every time you're daring someone, you get usually a good amount of engagement. You could also, let's have some thoughts, like what else can we ask? What has been your worst experience in a taxi? Now this would struck over here. So every time you're touching some emotional topic where people have strong emotions, that's definitely gonna help. So this one is more positive focused. This one is more on the negative aspect focused. So I personally would focus in this case on the positive, because you don't want to get people to write some traumatizing stories that they have been maybe like robbed by the taxi driver or like worse. So we just want to keep it like lighthearted, and yeah, so this one would be good. Then what you want to do, like you see this, they have those company hashtags, but they're not using them. You can just add them at the end. And then what was the other company hashtag? Let's have a look. There, Red Bull gives you wings. So this one could also be included. I would say you can take like 3 to 5 hashtags if you want. If you have those branded ones, I would definitely go for another discovery one, which could be something like innovation, future. You have to kind of do a little bit of research to see which one. Innovation is definitely a good one. If you look at innovation, this one has 38 million followers, so there's a good opportunity to get some new people engaged. Like what else? We have research, future. Yeah, you could do something like future mobility. This would be also some kind of good hashtags that you, future mobility. So I think this would be a pretty decent post that you can use. You're getting people through an emotional experience, which means like every time someone goes through an emotional experience, people will be more willing to engage and to share your content, meaning you're getting 100 times more bang for your buck if you have an interesting story. So you're getting them, telling them a story, taking them down, taking them up, taking them down, taking them up. Like you want to see, there's no specific number how many times you have to take someone up or down. It can just be once, could be 3 times or more, depending on your format of content. But the point is you're trying to make it interesting. And then you're getting your content, you're promoting this. And at the end, you have a call to action where you encourage people to join. And then you can basically, as an attachment, photo of the Lilium jet. Or it could be, if you have a design team, you can say Lilium jet versus cab. Make like a split view between the traditional cab and the jet. Or there's like a lot of different ways, but like you can attach a picture, or you could have a little trailer, video trailer, could also work. You definitely want to have something attached to it, because otherwise when you copy this and LinkedIn finds a link, it will attach this link to your post. Now let me know in the comments what you think about my analysis of Red Bull's company page. Now, if you want to learn more about how to implement this in your own business, check out the link in the description about my LinkedIn Accelerator program, where I teach you how to develop a complete content marketing strategy on LinkedIn from scratch, even if you have no followers on your company page, and how to use both your company page and your personal profile and the personal profiles of your members in your team to really create a ton of organic traffic, high quality leads, and turn them into customers. And if you want to get more videos like this, also make sure that you hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, and smash the like button. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.